You know, have you ever noticed how global challenges often seem to, well, spur significant growth,
Yeah.
sometimes in really unexpected sectors?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a powerful testament to human resilience, isn't it? Our drive to protect what matters most, homes, businesses, just, peace of mind.
Absolutely.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into a market that sits right there, the global market for hurricane protection screen systems.
Right. And these aren't just standard screens.
No, exactly. We're talking robust, often transparent barriers designed to shield windows, doors from really devastating winds and debris during, well, extreme weather.
It's a crucial market for safety, for preparedness.
Definitely. And frankly, it's a fascinating window into how the world's adapting to new environmental realities.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is that our mission today is really to unpack the detailed market forecasts for these essential systems.
Okay.
We're going to explore their current scale, their projected growth, and sort of pinpoint the key regions, the countries that are really driving this expansion.
And why it matters.
And yeah, reveal why these numbers, which might seem a bit dry on the surface, truly matter to all of us. They reflect these global shifts in climate awareness, infrastructure investment, proactive safety measures.
Okay, let's unpack this with some pretty impressive figures right off the bat. The global market for these systems was around, what, $356 million in 2021?
Mm-hmm.
Just over that.
That's right.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yep.
It's projected to climb to nearly $492 million by 2025.
Mm-hmm. A big jump.
And then an astonishing leap to over $936 million by 2033.
Wow.
I mean, that's a strong compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of 8.384%.
Yeah, it's pretty significant.
It's clear this isn't just some niche market,
Yeah,
it's a
it's-
rapidly expanding necessity, driven by, well, a growing global need for stronger defenses.
And leading that charge, perhaps not surprisingly, given the storm seasons, is North America.
Right. Makes sense.
This region generated over $126 million back in 2021. That's expected to hit more than $171 million by 2025.
Okay.
And looking further out, projected to reach over $314 million by 2033.
So it's not just reacting, it's investing ahead of time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It reflects this proactive investment in infrastructure and, just peace of mind.
That's a massive investment.
Yeah.
And if we drill down into North America, the U.S. is clearly the biggest player there.
Oh, absolutely.
In 2021, the U.S. contributed nearly $99 million, set to rise to over $133 million by 2025, and then a whopping $242.8 million in 2033.
Yeah.
What do you think's driving that acceleration, even in what seems like a mature market already?
Well, for the U.S., it's probably a combination of things. Escalating insurance costs, for one, pushing homeowners and businesses towards mitigation, and stricter building codes, especially in those vulnerable coastal states like Florida, along the Gulf Coast.
Right.
People aren't just, waiting for help. They're taking control of their property's resilience.
Taking action.
Yeah. And Canada is also a significant contributor. Figures projected to grow from nearly $17 million to over $45 million across those same time points. Mexico isn't far behind either. Posted over $10 million in 2021, set to reach nearly $27 million by 2033.
So it really shows how critical this protection is across the whole continent.
It does. It reflects a really widespread adaptation strategy.
It's fascinating how geography dictates demand here. So if we look across the Atlantic, what's the picture like in Europe? Are they facing similar pressures, or is their growth maybe driven by different factors?
That's a great point. While hurricane might not be the first word that springs to mind for Europe,
Right.
the market for these protection systems is actually showing equally robust growth there. It was over $75 million in 2021, forecasted to hit more than $101 million by 2025, and eventually reaching over $186 million by 2033.
So what's driving it there, if not typically hurricanes, strong winds?
Yeah, that growth likely reflects increasing demand for protection against, well, powerful windstorms, other extreme weather events that are becoming more frequent, particularly coastal areas, but even inland where high winds are a growing concern.
Interesting. And we see several key European countries making pretty substantial contributions. Germany, for instance, shows significant figures, projected growth from over $14 million to over $38 million by 2033.
That's right.
The United Kingdom isn't far behind, set to reach over $30 million. Are these systems mainly for the absolute worst storms, or are they finding broader use?
That's a really insightful question. It kind of highlights a key nuance.
Hmm.
While hurricane isn't the main label, the demand in Germany, say, often stems from these increasing high wind events and just a broader emphasis on building resilience against unpredictable weather.
Okay.
For the UK, it's more about shoring up against more frequent and more intense coastal storms.
Yeah.
France is also a strong market. Revenues projected to reach over $21 million, followed by Italy at over $17 million.
And beyond those larger economies, you have other notable contributors like Spain, set to grow from over $6 million to nearly $16 million. Russia is also significant, projected to reach over $11 million by 2033. And Sweden rounds out this group, moving from over $3.6 million to nearly $9.4 million.
And it's not just the big players. Even smaller European markets are seeing steady, impactful growth. Denmark, for instance, projected to nearly triple its market size from around $2.5 million to almost $5.9 million.
Wow.
Switzerland shows consistent expansion from nearly $4 million to over $9.2 million. Luxembourg, while smaller, is also growing from just over $1 million to nearly $2.4 million.
Okay.
And the collective rest of Europe market shows strong overall momentum from $10 million to over $25 million.
So it really underscores this widespread recognition of need across the continent.
Exactly. It reflects a kind of diversification of need beyond just traditional hurricane zones, adapting the tech.
Now, if we turn our attention to the Asia-Pacific region, this is where you said we witnessed some of the highest growth globally.
Absolutely. Yeah, the regional market stood at nearly $99.5 million in 2021, then rose to over $141 million in 2025. And is projected to more than double to over $286 million by 2033.
That's huge growth.
It is, and it's not just about rising storm intensity here. It's also a story of rapid urbanization, massive infrastructure projects, and a growing middle class investing in, advanced home safety features, especially in vulnerable coastal cities.
That makes sense. And within Asia-Pacific, China is really leading the charge.
Definitely. Figures projected to jump from nearly $28 million to over $82 million by 2033.
Wow. Japan follows with strong numbers too, set to reach over $42 million. And India has demonstrated particularly strong momentum, starting at just over $10 million in 2021 and soaring to over $33.5 million by 2033. Really picked up steam there.
Yeah, India's growth is quite remarkable. Other key contributors in Asia-Pacific include South Korea, projected to reach over $25 million.
Okay.
Australia is also seeing significant uptake from nearly $6 million to almost $15 million. Singapore is set to more than double its market, from just over $4 million to nearly $12.5 million. And Southeast Asia, as a whole, shows particularly substantial growth from nearly $9.7 million to over $29.6 million.
Lots happening there. And to round out APAC, Taiwan reported strong figures, moving from around $4.5 million to over $12 million.
That's right.
The rest of APAC region collectively closes at nearly $11.6 million initially, and a significant over $33 million by 2033.
It really shows a widespread, almost aggressive adoption of these protection systems in a highly vulnerable region. It's driven by proactive adaptation.
Okay, so moving south, Sam.
South America.
Right. The South American market for these systems stood at nearly $21.7 million in 2021.
Yeah.
It's expected to grow to over $30 million in 2025 and ultimately reach over $59 million by 2033.
Still solid growth.
Definitely. It indicates a growing awareness and investment and preparedness across the continent.
And Brazil leads the way there.
Yes. Brazil leads with nearly $8.9 million in 2021, projected to hit over $12.3 million by 2025, and nearly $24 million by 2033.
Argentina follows with over $4.1 million, projected to reach nearly $11.9 million. Colombia also makes a significant contribution, posting over $4 million, and set to reach over $10.5 million.
Right.
Peru is another notable market, moving from nearly $1.8 million to almost $4.7 million. Chile also shows consistent growth, from nearly $1.4 million to almost $4 million.
And the rest.
The rest of South America region collectively contributes nearly $1.6 million, projected to reach over $4.3 million. It indicates a broad regional increase in demand as countries face, more unpredictable weather patterns.
Okay, shifting now to the Middle East.
Yeah.
This region recorded over $18 million in 2021, growing to over $25 million in 2025, and nearly doubling to over $48.8 million by 2033. Now, this is intriguing. Like Europe, it's not a region you typically associate with hurricanes. What's driving growth here?
That's an excellent observation, and you're right, not hurricane-prone in the traditional sense. The demand in the Middle East seems tied to protecting critical infrastructure
Uh-huh.
and high-value properties from other extreme weather events. Think intense windstorms, sandstorms, dust storms.
Right, adapting the technology again.
Exactly. Saudi Arabia is a clear leader, projected to grow from $4.5 million to over $12.2 million by 2033.
Okay.
Turkey follows closely with nearly $3.7 million, projected to exceed $10 million. The UAE also shows strong figures, posting nearly $3 million, projected to reach over $8.4 million.
Egypt contributes over $2.6 million, projected to reach over $6.7 million, with Qatar at nearly $1.7 million, set to reach over $4.6 million. And the rest of the Middle East adds to this growth, coming in at nearly $2.7 million, projected to reach over $6.6 million.
It's a clear indicator that protecting infrastructure against extreme weather is a global concern now, not limited to just traditional hurricane zones, but adapting these systems for broader climate challenges.
Makes sense. Finally, let's look at Africa.
Okay. Africa, where the market for these protection systems grew from just over $15.3 million in 2021
Right.
to over $22 million in 2025, and is forecasted to reach over $40.8 million by 2033.
So starting from a smaller base, but still substantial potential.
Exactly. Within Africa, Nigeria shows significant expansion, projected to grow from $2.3 million to over $6.3 million.
Oh.
South Africa has seen particularly steady gains, moving from over $6.2 million to a forecasted $17.7 million.
That suggests a growing focus on robust building standards, infrastructure resilience there too.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the rest of Africa accounts for nearly $6.8 million in 2021, projected to reach over $16.7 million in 2033.
So not isolated growth.
No, it indicates this growth isn't isolated, but more of a continent-wide trend toward enhanced safety and resilience in a region that's increasingly vulnerable to diverse climate impacts.
Okay, there's a lot of numbers, a lot of regions.
It is. If we connect this to the bigger picture, though, what really stands out across all these regions and numbers is the clear, consistent global growth of this market.
Yeah, everywhere.
From North America's leadership to Asia-Pacific's sort of explosive trajectory and steady gains across Europe, South America, the Middle East, Africa, the trajectory is undeniably upward. These significant projections for the future, they truly reinforce the importance of understanding these trends. They're a reflection of increasing climate awareness, proactive infrastructure investment, and, global efforts towards enhanced safety and resilience, especially in vulnerable areas.
So what does this all mean for you listening?
Yeah.
Well, this deep dive, hopefully, has offered a concise, yet pretty thorough understanding of a critical and growing global market.
Yeah.
We hope it's provided some aha moments, maybe, and valuable insights without just overwhelming you with data. You've now got that top-level view of an industry really driven by the very human need for protection and resilience, especially facing changing environmental realities.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe one final thought to leave you with. Given the substantial and consistent global growth projected for these hurricane protection systems out to 2033, consider this. What might this market's expansion tell us about shifting priorities, in global infrastructure development, long-term climate adaptation strategies, or even the future of real estate value and insurance premiums in vulnerable regions? Something to think about.
Welcome to the deep dive. So what we do here is take your sources, all that research, those articles, maybe even just notes you've jotted down, and we basically pull out the most important bits, the real nuggets of knowledge.
Yeah, kind of like a shortcut to getting smart on a topic.
Exactly. With, some surprising facts thrown in, maybe a little humor, just to keep things interesting.
Keeps us interested anyway.
True. So today we're looking at something pretty specific, but increasingly vital. The hurricane protection screen system market. And if you're tracking anything related to climate resilience, you'll know this area is seeing some, pretty explosive growth.
It really is. And we're not just scratching the surface today.
No, we're diving into the latest analysis. We want to get at the nuanced forces shaping this market. You might find some insights that surprise even the experts out there.
And importantly, everything we're discussing today, all the insights, they come straight from cognitive market research. They're really a trusted name, a kind of North Star for market intelligence in this sector. So our goal is simple. Give you a full, unbiased picture of this critical industry.
Okay, so let's frame this up. We're basically looking at this fascinating intersection where you've got these escalating climate threats clashing with some pretty ingenious innovation.
But also some real obstacles, right?
Absolutely. So the mission for us today is to map out what's driving this market forward, uncover maybe some of those hidden barriers, and try to peek into where it's all headed.
Giving you the playbook, essentially.
Yeah, the playbook for this resilience race. Get ready because we're going to unpack the surprising facts and key insights that really shape how we're protecting homes, businesses, everything from, well, nature's increasing fury.
Sounds good. Where do we start?
Okay, so let's dive right in with what cognitive market research points to as the main engine here. And maybe it's not a huge surprise, but it starts with the storms themselves.
The hurricanes, yeah. More frequent, more severe.
Exactly. Climate change is intensifying these things, making them less predictable, especially hitting those vulnerable coastal zones. Hard think of the U.S., the Caribbean, Southeast Asia.
Right. So there's this huge surge in demand for proactive protection. People want to get ahead of it.
But what's the sort of deeper insight there, beyond just storms are bad?
Well, according to the cognitive market research data, it's more than just awareness. It's about a fundamental shift.
Okay.
These climate threats are turning hurricane protection from something you maybe do after a scare into like a basic long-term investment, almost like adding a new utility for properties in those risk zones.
Huh. Like plumbing or electricity, but for storms.
Kind of, yeah. These screens, they offer a really reliable way to guard against high winds, flying debris. It gives homeowners, commercial property owners, peace of mind, safety.
So that drives this steady investment in long-term defense solutions.
Precisely.
What's interesting, though, is it's not just people reacting to the weather. There are other pressures pushing this along, right? External ones.
Oh, absolutely. Very strategic pressures. You've got governments, especially in those hurricane-prone areas, tightening up building codes.
Mandating impact-resistant windows, doors, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And at the same time, you have the insurance industry stepping in.
Ah, the money angle.
Right. They're rewarding compliance, offering discounts, better premiums if property owners install certified hurricane screen systems.
So connect the dots.
Yeah.
You've got rules pushing you and money pulling you.
It's a powerful combination. Regulatory push, financial pull, and it's definitely speeding up adoption for both new builds and existing properties getting retrofitted.
Okay, so those are the outside forces. What about inside the industry itself, the innovation? I gather we're talking about more than just those old clunky metal shutters.
Oh, way beyond that. And the really key thing about the technology leaps isn't just, stronger materials, although that's part of it.
What is it then?
It's how these advances are completely changing the perception of hurricane protection. It's not seen as this ugly last resort thing anymore. Today's screen systems use high tensile fabrics, think Kevlar, reinforced mesh things that deliver amazing strength but don't look, well, terrible.
Right. Aesthetics matter.
Hugely. And we're seeing retractable designs, motorized ones, even smart-enabled systems. They're lighter, easier to put up and take down, and just visually much more appealing.
So it becomes less of a chore and more integrated.
Exactly. This whole aesthetic and functional revolution, it's making advanced protection actually desirable. It fits into modern property design, and that unlocks whole new market segments, fancy contemporary homes, tech-savvy businesses.
It's clear there's a lot propelling this market. But, like any industry, there have got to be headwinds, right? Things holding it back. Cognitive market research must point to some restraints.
They definitely do. And probably the biggest one, the most common hurdle, is just the upfront cost, the initial installation.
Yeah, I can see that.
These advanced screens, especially if you want automation or those premium materials, they can get pretty expensive. And for a lot of homeowners, maybe in places where hurricanes aren't an every-year event, that big initial investment, it can feel like, well, maybe too much.
So they stick with cheaper options.
Often, yeah. They might go for, the standard metal shutters or sometimes even just plywood boards. It's cheaper short term, but it delays the adoption of these better, more integrated systems. It slows down that broader market penetration.
That makes sense. And I guess that high cost probably links directly to another challenge, which is just awareness, getting the word out. What does the data say about that, especially maybe in developing economies?
You've nailed a really critical point there, because while adoption is pretty high in places like the U.S., parts of the Caribbean,
Where the threat is constant almost.
right, but in many parts of Southeast Asia, Latin America, Africa, they're lagging behind. And it's not just cost.
What else then?
Often it's limited government focus or initiatives, maybe poor disaster education programs, and just significant budget constraints overall. All these things together really hinder the market getting traction and the necessary infrastructure planning in those regions.
And then there's the very human factor,
Yeah.
how it looks,
Yeah.
aesthetics. I mean, I can imagine some people hesitating if they think these screens will mess up the look of their house. Is that a real barrier?
Oh, absolutely it is. Those aesthetic concerns and also sometimes structural compatibility issues, they can definitely put people off.
How so?
Well, some homeowners just really worry that putting up screens will negatively impact their home's curb appeal, you know?
Dang.
And that's a valid worry when you think about property value.
Sure.
And then others, maybe people with older homes or unique architectural designs, they might find the installation isn't straightforward. The structure might need upgrades first for the screen to even be effective.
Which adds more cost and hassle.
Exactly. And that complexity, that potential incompatibility, it deters certain homeowners, particularly those who really prioritize both safety and the design integrity of their property.
Okay, so we've mapped out the drivers, the forces pushing growth, and also these significant challenges, the restraints. Now, let's really dive deep. Where is this all going? What are the key trends shaping the future here?
Well, one really significant trend emerging is much wider adoption in commercial and institutional buildings.
So beyond just homes.
Right. We're seeing these screen systems going to schools, hospitals, government buildings, private businesses.
Places that need to stay operational.
Exactly. These facilities absolutely require reliable safety and, uninterrupted operation during storms. And with more public-private collaboration now, more funding for disaster prep, adoption is really expanding quickly across these non-residential sectors. It reflects a more sort of holistic view of community resilience.
And alongside that, I'm guessing there's a big push toward integrating with smart home tech. That seems to be happening everywhere.
Yeah. Guessed it. The idea of, voice command hurricane protection, it really shows how far things have come.
It's not just about brute strength anymore.
No, it's about integrated, intelligent resilience. As smart living becomes standard, people expect their hurricane protection to be smart too.
So connecting to Alexa or Google Home?
Yep. Many modern screens are compatible with those platforms, or custom smart hubs. Imagine just saying, deploy hurricane screens.
Convenience meets climate safety.
Precisely. And it's catching on fast because it taps into the smart infrastructure people already have or want.
And one last trend very relevant today.
Yeah.
What about sustainability in an era of environmental awareness? Is that filtering into this market?
It absolutely is, and it's a trend that's really gaining momentum. Manufacturers are increasingly looking at recyclable materials, more sustainable production processes, and also just designing screen systems that last longer, reducing waste.
Makes sense.
With environmental consciousness rising, both from consumers and regulators, you can expect these green-certified hurricane protection products to gain significant traction. It's a nice blend of practicality, being planet-friendly, and thinking about long-term impacts. So just to recap quickly, we've covered the main drivers: climate change, regulations, tech innovation. We've looked at the restraints like cost and awareness, and these emerging trends: commercial use, smart integration, sustainability.
Right.
And all this, again, synthesized from that comprehensive data provided by Cognitive Market Research. We've seen how it's this mix of environmental urgency, government mandates, and those tech leaps really transforming the sector.
And understanding this market, it really does give you a shortcut to being genuinely well-informed about a vital piece of climate resilience, of disaster preparedness. It's this fascinating balance, isn't it, between the growing demand, which is clearly fueled by worsening storms, and then these hurdles cost, awareness that kind of slow down how quickly everyone can adopt these solutions.
Yeah, it's not just about the products.
No, it's about changing mindsets. It's about policy shifts, maybe even, how we relate to the planet fundamentally.
Which brings us to a final thought for you, the listener, to sort of mull over. Given everything we've discussed, the increasing frequency of extreme weather, these rapid tech advances in protection, what broader implications does the evolution of this hurricane protection market hold? Think about urban planning, think about insurance models, even individual homeowner responsibility in those vulnerable areas. What new questions does understanding all this prompt you to ask about the future of how we adapt to our changing climate?